See how they do on Oasis.
Oh, let's go!
Yeah, we got the new Contenders home and away skins, and it looks like, yeah, it is going to be Fusion University as your home team. Really, though, Optic is the one that's winning here at the end.
Yeah, realistically speaking, you take a look at this and go, this really looks like a team from Houston. It's very green, but hey, the mascot of Contenders is Genji, and he's pretty green himself, so all makes sense here. And now you take a look at both sides. Interesting swap up here where Beast Halo's main tank, he's going to be on the Hammond here. Meanwhile, for Toronto, you look at Hammond, the Wrecking Ball. Okay, no, they're not going to run it at all. So Fusion is going to be running it. Crackblocking going to D.Va. Let's go.
First game, first Wrecking Ball sighting coming out here. Beast Halo is going to go ahead and swing his way on in. He's going to use that shift down in, but he did not get much of a shield off the E at all. He has to back away as he used it just to get the health. The Sombra health pack will help him maintain here, but now the dive is coming out to Toronto.
Toronto trying to take advantage while Hammond's abilities were down. Dalton gets on alarm early, so already one is out of it. But Fusion now looking to go back the other way. They've gotten rid of Crackblock, and they push him for the dive. Who are you? Gets enormous value on that dash, getting through 4 or 5 people in one go. Very close down to a blade. But the problem is that Fusion has failed to control space here with this Hammond here just yet. They do give up first control of the point. We'll see if they do the bring it back, as that blade is almost ready.
Yeah, Beast Halo does have to be careful because he has to play fairly close for the most part. Alarm, while he does have that long-range Ana to try and heal him up, the angles that Beast Halo uses, he cuts him off from LOS. Coalescence coming in as Ross pushes forward.
Early Coalescence coming out here, and again, Alarm isolated by Dalton. This is a new and improved Dalton, getting on the supports in the back line. However, to look to who are you? His blade is ready, Coalescence long gone. He would like to use his blade, but I think he thinks the sound barrier is up, which it will be soon. So Toronto's gonna wait for another full regrouping.
Zachary might be able to just shut down that sound barrier, though. He's got the EMP, and he's looking for a way to get into the back line, but he's taking his time now. That's going to allow Toronto to get 38%, but help taking out Nero.
Not so invisible now. Sets a Fusion for the 6-on-5. Who are you? Looking to go on in. There's a nano boost. Here comes the blade. Diving in. Takes out Cruz in one swipe. D.Va trying to get out of dodge here, but is going to get inevitably debacked. A little bit of shurikens right after. And really, it was a hell of just catch yourself around, you get the early pickoff, and makes everything from there much easier for Fusion.
Now, Toronto are still able to delay out this point, but Norayu is slowly cleaning up the members of Toronto Esports. Now, 65% still ticking up. Fusion University, you know, off the back of just a nano boost along with that blade, we're able to take this point, so that means they're going to be able to hold this for quite some time. Now, Beast Halo, he is on this Wrecking Ball, and you have to remember that he has a huge AoE ultimate, so he can cut off the approach of the dive coming up from Toronto.
Well, the other thing, too, is that there is kind of an idea that Wrecking Ball might be quite good once you hold control of the point, because there's areas you can set up on where you can take a look at the initiation. Of course, it's on Toronto, move on in. You drop on over, you drop the minefield, you see how it goes. Minefield has already been dropped here. Nero, though, spawning with the EMP. Zachary taken down, and the Sombra v Sombra setup. And Toronto working their way around right now. After the commit from Nero, they're trying to work the advantage, and now they just look to Beast Halo, focusing him down. Doesn't have much mitigation in the situation, especially when he can't use his shield, and that's going to be Toronto isolating the tanks, making their way on in. They're going to retake, and that might be the end of Ham here for Fusion. I think they're going to go back to the bread and butter.
That was a great EMP coming out from Nero, because he actually spotted out Zachary when he was on that flank, and so Zachary, who himself almost had an EMP, got absolutely shut down, and that is the value of the Sombra coming in. Already, take a look at all the damage he did. He's at 67% towards another EMP. Toronto coming up on what could be the final fight here.
Well, Fusion, they've swapped back to the wins here. Beast Halo is back to the working front. He's getting focused down, but he's able to get away. Zachary, early EMP, isolating Crackblackin. Who are you with the blade? Gets on through, grabs 3. Now 4 before it's no, making a full fleet sweep. Why not? The nano boosted blade working real well for Who Are You there. That's going to let Fusion retake the point.
But Fusion, they have very little resting time at this point because they did have to commit a lot of ultimates into that last fight. Bernard will have the self-destruct, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to be able to buy Fusion University time to build up their ultimates again. While Toronto Esports, Nero's going to have another EMP, and Axiom can get into the backline. We've seen what this beast can do when he has the Primal Rage.
All right, Toronto setting up once more, and to your point, it's going to be a lot on Nero here. We'll see what he sets up. Dalton goes to the back, forced out early. Toronto moving in. Nero almost gets picked off, can't move in. Axiom slept, and under all sorts of pressure in the back, it's disruption, but it does have follow-through. Alarm though. Now, Cruz finds a move on the opposite side. Dalton now room to work with on the left-hand side. Moving in. Fusion on a whim and a prayer though is fighting this back. Who are you super low and yet still in this. Draw shoot to the side, and now Respawn's coming in for Fusion as they desperately try to hold on.
They're gonna clean up now. Beast Halo uses that Primal Rage just to hold on. He was down to a sliver of HP, but now he is hunting down the members of Toronto Esports. Toronto Esports are still contesting the point. They might have the proper skills. There's the EMP, but they are solo HP. Beast Halo cleans up too, and now it's just the remaining members of Toronto struggling to hold on.
And Beast Halo getting far more cleanup on the Winston than he was in Wrecking Ball a moment ago. Obviously, he's played way more Winston Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball is new, and Fusion. Once they swap team compositions, they go to something that's a little bit more up their alley. They're able to reverse course here. So I do wonder, you take a look at this, how much of it was, we want to play Hammond because we think, you know what, we want to play Hammond because we want to please the fans, but you know, there is a limit there, and the limit is, hey, we're going to lose this round if we don't swap soon.
And they would also ruin their 100% win rate here on Oasis. But the other thing that we really do have to mention is that, you know, the teams, they've only had about a week on this patch because they played last week and then they had to change it up for 1.26. So really trying to figure out how to make this dive work coming up from Fusion University with that Wrecking Ball is something that's still a work in progress. And they're also dealing with the support changes. Mercy, I believe, got changed here where she doesn't have the same kind of healing output.
You know, I don't actually like this trial where they're running Goat-style comp minus Zarya plus Sombra. The Zarya is such good glue to a Goats' composition that I don't think that's a hero you swap out here, and I think the play of Hammond could very much disrupt it, but of course, they take cover inside early, does give Beast Halo the right opportunity, gets hacked on the opposite side, and now needs to get healed up, but the support is there.
That is a good hack, and that's what we've seen over the last 2 seasons of Contenders, where the Sombra is trying to go for the tanks instead. Beast Halo dropped down low. Oh, he was barely able to survive, but no, Nero will be able to finish him off. And so now Fusion University are playing with a man down as the point is unlocked.
Fusion trying to find a way back into this, but they've already lost Elk. They're down a main tank, where again, this is Overwatch, where if you're down a main tank early, your control of the fight really goes quite the other way very quickly. So Fusion, they're just gonna have to back it up, regroup. Beast Halo, though, gonna give one more round of Hammond.
It's been a great focus coming up from coming up from Toronto, dealing with Beast Halo now. But Toronto Esports, they do have to be careful. They are running the GOAT-style composition where you have the triple support and you're trying to really support the tank line here. If they ball up too much, that's going to allow Beast Halo to jump on in. He's almost got the minefield, and he's going to be able to also get extra tanky with his shields.
Well, hold the fun of the minefield. Here it comes. Who are you? Nano boosted blade once more. Diving on in, gets 2, finds him more in the back, doesn't even care about the energy beam in his face. And Fusion, off that Nano blade, going to be piercing on through. And, you know, it's a little bit of a different look for Alarm, not seeing him on the Zen, but the one upside is that you might not have the Transcendence, but you can really empower Who Are You to do even more.
Yeah, at this point, we're back to Apex Who Are You, who is the recipient of almost every Nano boost coming out from Lunatic High at the time. So Beast Halo, he's got the minefield and he is getting ready to set up. His swing will be able to allow him to get into the thick of things, but he is hacked by Nero, so that's already gone. But Nero gets taken down by the self-destruct.
The random self-destruct takes him out, and now Beast Halo doesn't have anything in his way. Gonna drop on over, hits the minefield. That's a no-go zone right now for Toronto. And they do get away from the mines. Problem is it splits off Axiom. He's on the verge of getting taken out. Is able to get away those crack-like and self-destruct. Makes room in the moment. Beast Halo, though, still laying the damage to the cannons on the point, but severely outnumbered here. Doesn't really have anything to get in and stay alive while outnumbered. But yeah, Respawn's coming back in. The problem is that Toronto's doing a good job of dominating space with this Goats-esque composition.
Yeah, so only 45% accrued by Fusion University. Now with Beast Halo using that minefield, does he swap off? Does he go over to the Reinhardt, or does he try to go for a Winston? It looks like he's going to stick with this composition, but Nero has been consistently using those hacks on him now. He's got the EMP ready, but he doesn't see the proper setup, so he'll just back away.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen Sombra having an impact on both.
Oh, no.
They're both liking it. Gets Zachary on the other side. Sombra v Sombra wins the battle of the hackers. And not just gonna delay Fusion. They don't want to go in here, especially down EMP, when they could get EMP themselves. As Toronto now, 70%. One team fight away.
Yeah, that was just really unfortunate timing for Zachary. He comes out of his stealth thinking, oh yeah, I've got Cruz to myself. But no, there's the counter Sombra waiting for you. But take a look, Alarm is 15% away from another Nano. And that is more than likely going to go on to Who Are You again, whose blades have been impeccable on this map.
Yeah, I mean, Who Are You is just waiting because, like, do you have it yet? Do you have it yet? He's like the kid in the car right now in all likelihood. Gonna dash back the other way. Elk already out of the fight. Who Are You desperately in need of a heal? Not the engage he was looking for. 95%. Fusion needs to get onto the point. Blade out from Who Are You. Did get the nano boost. Uses it for one. Cuts down D.Va, but that might be it. Still, could be all they need. Toronto, the sound barrier. Gonna drop the Coalescence as well. Zoning out Fusion. Fusion, though, waiting for respawns. And Who Are You being surgical on the outskirts right now as Beast Halo finally finds some room here on the Hammond, drops a minefield, and dives on in.
Yeah, you have to remember that the Hammond, the Wrecking Ball is actually, he is hit scan. So if you have any decent modicum of aim, you're going to do a lot of damage against your opponents now. The Fusion University had to expend a lot into that last fight, while Toronto Esports are cresting on such game-changing ultimates. The EMP is almost up. There we go. Nero has it. They've got the rally, and they've dropped the EMP.
Yeah, drops the EMP in Toronto. No hesitation. Immediately dive and punish Zachary. They get him out of the fight. They don't have to worry about a retaliation EMP. And more importantly, they zone out space. They've recaptured it. Fusion down 2 players. Now it's about delaying and hoping and praying for the miracle here. But that miracle, it's not happening. Toronto's getting all the easy cleanup they need. Cruz re-engages the DPS side, and it's looking like we're going to be heading to a round 3.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be classic Oasis, where we're going to have 99% overtime pushes all the time, and it's going to come down to our final map, which is going to be City Center. So we'll see if that goes to 99-99 like we used to see in the past.
And now I think it's safe to say here where, you know what, Fusion? I enjoy a good show. Everyone enjoys a good show. I enjoy that you've kind of played to the crowd here. I think you should probably swap off the Hammond. It has not really been effective. You have not gotten the engages you've been looking for here. He's actually been getting countered more by Sombra than I think you would care to. Just go back to Winston. Run what you're good at here. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yes, you're dealing with more Sombra play across the board, but you got to go to Winston here. If he stays on the Wrecking Ball, I'm going to be surprised, and I will be more surprised if he does if they start losing after the first fight.
I agree. Who Are You has been such a huge factor in this matchup, and his Genji has been stellar. And now, who really helps out and enables a Genji? Well, another diver like a Winston who's able to stick onto a target. Beast Halo hasn't been able to really help him out in that regard, and so I want to see him enabled now, as we do have this fight breaking out already in the middle. It's Axiom who is forced off from the high ground now, but they're still running that Sombra.
Beast Halo focused down first, and that was the main priority target there. Even getting a decent barrier up in the middle of them, not enough, couldn't get out of it in time. Focus fire down, and now Who Are You out of the fight, down a main tank. Toronto just has so much control, because there's no one on Fusion right now that's going to be a huge threat in the situation. And by the way, Beast Halo's done. He's coming back in on Winston.
It makes so much more sense, because Hammond, he does have that kind of ramp-up time to be able to use the escape, right? With the Winston, you just press your shift, you are out of that fight, you are out of the danger. But with the Wrecking Ball, you've got to send out the grapple, and then you got to swing your way on in. Now Dalton, he's got the pulse bomb, and it connects. He has been on alarm this entire game.
Yeah, Alarm has just been getting farmed by Dalton, multiple points in this game, but here's the difference. Beast Halo was able to contribute with the dive. They got to the back. They dealt with Cruz. Beast Halo picks up 2, and this is the difference when you get to play a hero that you're comfortable on versus a hero that clearly, right now, isn't your forte.
Now, the Coalescence will be used by Toronto Esports as they are just trying to delay out this point. Maybe buy some time for Nero to come in and pick up a few, and add Axiom, taking out Who Are You. Fusion University, they were not able to clean up the members of Toronto, and so they weren't even able to flip the points. And so Toronto will maintain. They're going to continue to build up. They're already at 51%.
Let's talk about keys to victory right now. Toronto, they've been sticking what they're good at. They put Dalton back on the Tracer. He's been having a great game here so far. Fusion, they've been doing stuff that, well, they're not really that comfortable with. Clearly no one is, at least just yet. And now they've put themselves in a tough situation. A 2-fight margin. Nero goes in, drops the EMP, dive following through, and Toronto makes it clean on the fall through. The EMP, that was all that was really necessary. And now Fusion, 1 fight away from dropping the first map.
This is a best-of-5 series, and Fusion University don't want to put himself behind after the first map here, but it looks like Toronto are going to force that issue. Axiom on the right-hand side. Take a look at Nero's position. He's going to try his best to try and shut down Beast Halo, I would imagine, again. But no, he goes after Elk instead. Still in the back, as Who Are You's going to pull out the blade.
It's a bit of a distraction back there, but Who Are You goes, I don't care about the back, I'm going to the front. Gets the people that were going directly in, deals with them, protects his team, goes the other way, and now you look at Axiom. There's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. Toronto, it's in overtime, but they will be able to retake this off of that blade. Now it's a matter of ult economy. Can they keep the momentum going?
That was a little sweaty there for Zachary as he tried to get over the wall to try and pick up the health pack, but Who Are You is getting focused on the coalescence. Will burn down. It's Dalton actually coming in to clean him up, and now Toronto are back in full force. Fusion never even able to flip this point.
Fusion in real trouble right now. Respawn's coming in from Toronto. Dalton working to the back, picks up another, continuing oppression. Respawn's working to Toronto's advantage, and suddenly Fusion on the verge of dropping Oasis. It's gonna go the way of Toronto, and Oasis is Fusion's territory no longer.
Ooh, that swift 3-0 that you guys were predicting just got shut down a little bit, didn't it?
You know what? When you try and run Hammond, you're not prepared, and then suddenly you go, okay, I guess we'll go back to what we're good at, but you do it when you're in a hole. Oh, they didn't leave themselves enough room to actually come on back.
No, it seems like this new meta is a little bit dicey for Fusion. Or maybe not dicey, but it's giving them pause.
There's a lot of experimentation going on right now, and especially with using Wrecking Ball throughout the first 2 points, kind of successfully and then mostly not, though, because we did get to see how hard he was being focused. He didn't have the same kind of escape tools that Beast Halo was used to when he runs the Winston, and we got to see him getting caught out time and again.
Yeah, I mean, Beast, almost essentially look at Hammond, you're almost looking at old Winston, where Winston way back in the day before his leap got a cooldown reduction is that he was pretty much in. And there wasn't a whole lot of getting out in that moment. And Hammond is much of the same way, where once you engage, you need to take down someone immediately because you're probably not getting out if the retreat has to be an option. And also, let's not put this all on Fusion here. I thought from Toronto, we kind of talked about some of their struggles, and one of the ways they could actually bring it back is that they do what they're good at, right? You go, okay, Dalton, you're relieved from Widow duty. We're going to put you on Tracer. We're going to let you play what you're good at. They did just that, and he was having one heck of a time isolating one of the best support players and Contenders in Alarm.
Also, Nero on Sombra was wrecking house. Pretty impressive ults, pretty impressive plays, really flanking and sneaking behind, putting that new invisibility to good use. I was impressed.
Yeah, we had a lot of the Sombra mirror actually throughout the entire match here. And so far, it has been Nero coming on up. Zachary, though, hasn't been as impactful as Nero has with these EMPs. It looks like Nero kind of just like goes for the counter where he's looking for Zachary, who's looking for an engagement, and then hacks him instead and shuts him down.
Well, also, that's kind of revives an old storyline that's been kind of forgotten because we're so far removed from the era where teams tried to run Sombra no matter what. But Zachary never had a dominating Sombra. That was never a hero where he's just like, oh no, you're bringing Zachary in the Sombras. Oh no, you're bringing Zachary on the Tracer. And then this season, he's been very good in the Widow. But bringing him onto the Sombra, it's just not a hero that historically he's been that dominant on. And Nero was certainly outplaying him in these Sombra v Sombra mirrors where we saw Zachary get picked off very early, pretty often. We saw Nero beating him by getting early hacks onto him in the Sombra mirror. So I think for Fusion is that they did two things here. They put their main tank on a hero that they weren't very comfortable with, and they put their star hit scan player on a hero where historically he hasn't been super great on. They did not play to their strengths, where meanwhile Toronto absolutely did.
Right. Even though Fusion did not take this map, we do have to talk about Who Are You on that Genji, specifically those nano blades when Alarm was coming through with those ults. It was poetry. 2 5 kills, I think, in one map. It was beautiful to see.
This is textbook Who Are You. This is what they just had to do from day one, right? When he was in Lunatic High, in Apex season 2, 3, 4, like his Genji has been so stellar, and you know, especially being able to enable it with something like the Nano Boost. Now, it could have probably, you know, gone further and gotten them a lot more mileage if, well, they weren't running Beast Halo on that Hammond the entire time. Putting him on the genetically modified Winston instead, you know, would have really enabled him throughout most of this match.
I also think in regards to that, okay, made Who Are You look very good because he did execute well, where thankfully that is a key part. If you're going Nano Blade, you need your Genji to actually have good blades or it's a real waste. But the problem is that I don't think Alarm just gets bullied that hard by Dalton in the back if he's on Zenyatta. Alarm is one of the hardest Zenyatas to actually pick off. And, you know, I'm sure his Ana has had good moments and bad moments, but typically speaking, Anas aren't as lethal as a lot of Zenyatas have brought the hero to, especially if you're not playing Ana all that frequently. So I don't think the trade-off of running the Ana, which is probably in part to help synergize with the Hammond, to, of course, get the Nano Blade on the other side, I don't think the trade-off in Alarm survivability from running that was worthwhile because I think it made Alarm a lot more vulnerable than he usually is. is.
Well, now they've run that, and they know that maybe the Nano Blade is not worth sacrificing a not-so-squishy healer in the backline. And now they've learned, and maybe we will see the return of Zen as we go forward. At least I hope. But I also want to just point out, I find it funny that Beast Halo plays the genetically modified beasts.
Yeah.
Has anyone noticed that? Just me?
He's on brand. That's
right,
the
he's
important
very
thing.
on brand.
It is 2018, and if you're not on brand, you're not trying. This is incredibly important. Everything revolves around that. It all relates to sponsorships in the end, whatever it might be for someone who plays hamsters and gorillas.
This has been a PSA from ZP about being on brand. Thank you very much. But as we continue on with more of these maps, what are you hoping to see come out of these players as we go on to Eichenwald, our hybrid map?
I mean, for Fuchsia, just be like, okay, remember what you're good at. Not Sombra, definitely not Hammond from what we saw there. Just, you're a pretty versatile team. Stick to stuff you're doing pre-patch because your overall strength on it still should be enough in this case, even with Toronto looking better than they have in the past.
I mean, there's a reason why the dive has been so strong for almost 2 years now in Overwatch, is because crisp execution can really just downplay any other kind of weaknesses that you have, and they weren't able to do that. Beast Halo, we're known for him being very aggressive, especially with that Winston. Well, with the Hammond, you can't be, right? You don't have the escape tools like his shift on lower cooldown, or also the Primal Rage, where that was your kind of like get out of jail free card, where you have a leap every 2 seconds. And so I don't think he's quite used to that kind of change up in styles yet.
So going into this map, who can you predict to see? Expecting that they're going to stick to what they're used to rather than use the new meta.
I mean, I'm going to do the hedge bets here and say it should still be Fusion if they've been scared now and they go to their normal setups. If we see more Sombra from them, if we see more Hammond, I think Toronto actually has the tools to upset them here in Eichenwald as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping for Eichenwald. This means Widowmaker and Pharah's coming out, and I think, the Widow-Pharah combination for Fusion will be able to beat out the combination on Toronto's side, and I think that's what they're looking for here in Eichenwald.
Well, we are 1-0. Toronto took the first map. What's going to happen? Let's find out.
So we're moving back in. It's going to be Fusion here in the Contenders green because, of course, they are the higher seed. And they're going to be on the defense here first, where they're still going to be keeping Alarm on the Ana. And again, it's fine. It definitely gives Who Are You more power, but the problem is that it gives them less ability to support their TFF Transcends when stuff gets hairy, and it's also really Who Are You's pretty good at getting good value out of his blades without a nano boost. Yes, it's more decisive, but do you really need it here? Is it worth making Alarm more vulnerable on the back end? I'm not entirely sure, but maybe this will be a little bit better for them here because it's a little bit less chaotic than what you get from a control map.
This is a point, Eichenwald defensive point A, where Anas can be run and teams have historically. But the interesting thing is that the secondary support, Elk, he is going to be actually picking up the Brigitte. So Alarm, he's going to have to sustain a lot, I would imagine, just off of trying to stay near health packs or use his biotic nade. And so Toronto Esports, they can find that vulnerability and actually go in for the dive. But they do have a hack coming out. Looks like it was cracking and lacking. He's taking so much damage there by Zachary.
Yeah, Zachary is staying on the Sombra, where again, we'll see if he has a better go of it this time. It wasn't super convincing a round ago, but Fusion for now, they're able to force Toronto back, and Toronto, well, they're going to be swapping up. It's not quite a full goat set because they're still running Sombra of their own, but they're going to be pretty focused on diving in on the point.
Yeah, it's that triple support where you just want to get on top of them with the Lucio speed boost. Beast Halo is the one that gets focused down. He tries to jump back, and he will fall as Axiom brings the hammer down on the head. Great charge onto Who Are You? 2 members of Fusion University already down.
That was not the intent in all likelihood, but still ends up working out. Axiom finds Who Are You off the charge to the very end, and now there's just going to be very little ability for this to be brought back here by the Fusion. They don't do any real damage to Toronto. And again, I don't know about the setup that Fusion is running. I can't get behind the Sombra Ana that we're seeing from them. It's so different from a patch ago. But for now, they're going to be sticking with it.
They are changing over to for Fusion University. It looks like, yeah, Elk is going over to the Lucio now, so they want to have to be able to match that speed boost that Cruz can provide to Toronto Esports to try and kite backwards. Hack comes out onto Axiom, so all he can do is swing. He even gets hit with a sleep dart there. He gets taken out. That's 2 members gone.
Yeah, that's just giving ult for free here. It's just like, okay, I understand you're trying to stagger it a little bit, but there was no rhyme or reason to that. And now they give Fusion a real good opportunity to reset. Now, you look at Zachary. Just use his ultimate. He's going to swap him. No. Really?
I'm not against it at all. It's really good because you do have this ball-up composition. Again, Maywall is the only thing that blocks the Coalescence along with the Bionic Core, but here we go. The Nano Blade comes on out, but he's starting to get controlled now. They're kiting back away from him. He's down to 10 HP. He will fall to the Coalescence here as Zachary goes down too. Shu is the man that we were saying you had to look out for on the side of Toronto Esports at the beginning of the map, and there it is. 2 members down for Fusion University.
Who are you? Getting nothing but air there, and oh man, Toronto getting a resurgence. Who are you? Emergency Doomfist.
I don't think it's an emergency Doomfist. Doomfist, you know, a lot of teams kind of wonder, like, how good can he play up against, like, a Ghost composition when there's a Brigitte there. But he does offer a lot of control, and he can one-shot the Brigitte and take her out of the fight instantly. All
right, who are you? Looking for his way in, gets stunned, immediately isolated and taken down. The Doomfist completely ineffective. Toronto well prepared, and now they keep things moving forward. Dalton working the Brigitte well, and you see the self-destruct coming in from Bernard, but gonna get absolutely nothing. Bernard's mech crunched, thrown into the pit. Get out of there, as Toronto now easily going to be piercing through to the gate. Fusion, this is not the same team we saw all season. These swap-ups, you've gotten too clever for your own good.
Surprised that they haven't gone back to something like a Pharah, something like a Widowmaker. Now, Fusion University, they are so behind as Toronto Esports moving into this 3rd phase of Eichenwald. They have to try and stall them out for nearly 4.5 minutes here. We got the swaps. Bernard is going over to the Zarya, Beast Halo over to the Ryan, and who are you? Now onto the Hanzo. Self-destruct comes on in, but a good chunk of it was blocked by that Ice Wall from Zachary.
Well, the Ice Wall might be out of Toronto, though, still very much in its shoe, holding the back. Coalescence of Fusion. Gonna drop the Nano Boost. Not really ideal targets here. They drop in Beast Halo, the swing the hammer and clear some space, but it's not the good old days. You don't get speed from it, but enough there to deal with Axiom in the moment. Toronto, of course, not running Mercy. They can't res up mistakes like that. They're saying such a blazingly fast time, it doesn't matter.
4 minutes are still on the clock, so there's plenty of time for them to build up ultimates. They did use the rally into the last fight, but the armor will persist onto members like Shu and Cruz, who really are the crucial ones now. Nero, because he doesn't contest, they don't know that he's there, even though he was on the payload. EMP connects onto everyone.
Nice EMP. Toronto gonna be coming in on the follow-through right on after. They had no idea Nero was there, and that sound barrier comes in way after, but you're down 2 people. The upside, not gonna get EMP'd, but the Blizzard does give them enough, where I'm not even sure they need the barrier there, but Toronto just unprepared for the Blizzard, end up getting frozen out, and Fusion buys themselves some stability.
Yeah, Zachary with that May came up with some clutch plays. It was very hard to see, but because Axiom was afraid of getting stunned up, frozen by the May, he had to keep his shield fixated on her behind the entire time, keeping him, of course, just incapacitated basically and out of that fight. And so now Fusion University are going to be able to stabilize here. Another wall. Here comes the ground surge, but it got eaten up. And Bernard now, he's got the Nano Boost. He's going to try and build up another one. Dragon Strike connects, takes out 2. Who are you? We'll be able to clean up with this Hanzo.
Fusion with an excellent play there, and that's even with the Graviton being eaten. They still had the fall through they needed. Toronto, that's one of those things where Crackalack is just like, oh man, did that really happen?
Now, they are going to get a nice stagger onto Crackalack, and they have done some damage to the time bank of Toronto Esports, who had, when they were moving into this phase, had nearly 5 minutes on the clock. Now they are halfway through that bank at 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Fusion University, this is where they are weakest though. They are without ultimates, while Toronto Esports have almost 4 on deck.
Here we go, self-destruct gonna lead the way here. Toronto being highly aggressive. Beast Halo needs to get out of the way in a hurry. Gets stunned, gets knocked down. Earth Shatter right after the Brigitte stun. A nice setup coming in here for Toronto. And now Fusion, they retaliate with the Blizzard here. They slow it down just a bit. It does result in 2, but it's not gonna be enough to fully stop Toronto here. And now you're gonna see who are you back up as respawns come in for Toronto. This is looking good.
That's still a great exchange for Fusion University though. Blizzard for 3 ultimates out from Toronto. You take that trade every day, and Toronto, because of the defensive respawn distance, have to back away. But it's again Nero in the back line with this Sombra. Huge EMP ready to get set up.
And he's just gonna dive on in, turn out the lights. Here comes Toronto once more, and Bernard, is he gonna fall before getting the grav off? He's super low, dies with grav in tow, and the EMP buys enough time. Toronto successfully storms the castle, and even though the May had some moments there, is this really worth not running some of the heroes that Zachary's been so good at over the course of the season? I'm not seeing it here.
I mean, I do like the utility of it. The Blizzard in that last fight was what allowed them to exchange so that Toronto had to kind of delay on that last push. Fusion University, though, they got caught out by a huge EMP. If it weren't for that from Nero, Fusion University had the tools to try and delay it longer, and this could have gone down to like 40 seconds, 30 seconds on the time bank for Toronto Esports. Instead, they've got 1:28. And so that while it might not be as impactful on the kill feed as Zachary normally is, it still offers a wide array of utility for the team that he has been able to capitalize off of. Okay,
Fusion, don't tell me you're actually running this here, where I got it on control, where I get it, you're pretty highly favored coming in here. Why not try stuff and have a good time? Beast Halo has been getting consistently focused down every time he's been on the Hammond. And now you're going to a point where the defense has even more options in setting up here on the defense. I do hope we see Beast Halo go back to Winston here, because again, this setup has not looked very good for the Fusion, and right now, I mean, I want the series to be as competitive as possible, but I feel like if Fusion comes out here with this team comp, with how they've played here so far, that this actually could end up being a very quick 2-0 for Toronto, because Toronto's been much more comfortable playing with a Sombra Tracer, isolating the Hammond, than Fusion is in really running anything opposite.
I agree. Beast Halo just has not been able to create the same space that Winston does. And Winston, he has a lot more reliable shield. You press your E, you've got your big barrier there. Hammond has to rely upon, of course, enemies being grouped up and then you getting more shield by the number of enemies in your proximity, but a huge dive comes in right out of the spawn gates as they pick off Alarm again.
Immediacy coming out from Toronto, where that's one thing Hammond can't really deal with. You can't easily dive on back and protect your team. He's all about the offense, and right now the offense is Toronto Esports on the defense, as it were, completely bamboozling Fusion University on this first attack. They're pulling out all the tricks, and right now they're working.
A good 30 seconds already burned off the clock for Fusion. And so now they are making the changes. Zachary goes over to the Zarya. Beast Halo now on the Reinhardt. We'll see if Who Are You maybe picks up the Brigitte. There we go. He'll go ahead and swap off. So it is going to be the 3-3 composition coming up from Fusion University here. Now they just want to try and ground and pound Toronto Esports, jump right on top of them. Now, we do have the counter engage coming up from Toronto.
At the very least here, Fusion has got something that's a lot more comfortable for them. You're running Zachary on the Zarya, where he's actually been pretty decent. Toronto has to give a lot of space to the Fusion, already giving up a tick because of how tanky this setup is. Toronto, though, you look towards Nero, real close to getting an EMP if he can just get a little bit of help to back it up. 98%, he's going to be the linchpin. Toronto now moves in. EMP hits everyone, and the follow-through more than there. Cracklacken let loose those micro missiles, and just everyone from Toronto laying in consistent damage, where Fusion had nowhere to go.
Fusion were able to secure that tick, as you had mentioned, just bowling them off the point, and Toronto looking for that proper engagement bought them the time. But also, that allows Fusion University to try and get the critical mass with this composition. What you're looking for, of course, is just the fighting power with the huge AoE ultimates in the Earthshatter, in the Graviton Surge. Zachary only able to build up 50%, as Beast Halo, though, was able to swing for the fences, get himself up to 75% with that Reinhardt.
And I mean, they're going to need contribution for the takes here. Alarm almost picked off, was under pressure early. Toronto invested early barrier into the fight, and now they don't really dive with it. They use it to stay alive. Fusion kind of caught them off guard in the beginning. You see Axiom over the top, going to use the Primal Rage. Earthshatter comes in, though. That's one way to stop a rampaging scientist. Fusion now with the 6v5. Toronto under pressure. Can Dalton turn around, drops a pulse bomb, does connect, but the shield going to save things there. It's not the turnaround Toronto was expecting. Dalton gets Brigitte to the face, and slowly but surely, Fusion is grinding this one out.
That was just an easy setup for Beast Halo. He sees Axiom, of course, in the Primal Rage, and when you're in the Primal Rage, you can't drop a barrier, so he knows that nothing is going to block it. He's able to connect with that, but just before that also, Who Are You was able to hit Axiom with that shield bash, keeping him locked up, and that entire time they just focused down the main tank and were able to burn him down. Now Fusion University trying to hold the enemies at the gates, making sure they don't get out here. They've even got Axiom caught out just a bit, but he'll be able to leap out for now. Fusion, they're not chasing too far with this. They do have their escape tools, so we'll see. Bernard gets hacked, and now he will go down.
Yeah, there's really nowhere to go here, but he's getting healed up in the moment. He's actually not demeched here just yet. Ends up living for quite a while, but still could be a slow burn here for Fusion. They need to start retreating. 3 go the way of Toronto, and they start easily chasing this down. I will note here, though, that this has been a nice swap for Zachary so far. He's had very good shields here. Drops the grab as I say that. I don't know if that was really the right time, but it does set up for you to get 2 and will put an end to Toronto. So the grab is in fact a good decision here, keeps Fusion in it, and the difference with Zachary on the Zarya versus the Sombra has been profound.
Yeah, and that was great. That was just great understanding of how this map works out, right? We see that when we make that transition from point A onto point B of Eichenwald, that a lot of teams on the offense go and try to hold out the castle gates here, and that's fine because we know that the gate takes a while to open up, so you don't need to have full 6 members just waiting with the payload. Elk, though, is left as Nero is able to get the hack onto him. Axiom tries to show up, but Elk does have that speed boost to get himself away.
Well, I mean, while this is going on, the payload isn't moving. Elk goes, actually, I'm going to heal up and going to fight you back the other way. But now you see Axiom diving in, where this is a very split up fight right now. But here's Beast Halo on the top rope. Earth Shatter ready.
Oh, no.
Doesn't drop, and in fact, Axiom ends up falling into the pit. A little bit scattered here for Toronto as Fusion looking rejuvenated here. Beast Halo keeping control, drops the Earth Shatter into nothing. A little bit weird there, not really needed. Not also a weird transcend from Toronto, as Toronto right now not getting any luck in delaying.
Yeah, I'm trying to wonder if Axiom got hit with that whiplash from Who Are You to change his trajectory, because as a Winston player, you generally don't miss that jump onto the bridge, so that was a little weird. Now, Fusion University, though, continuing to carry on with this momentum. Seriously behind, though, in terms of time here, as Nero's coming in, EMP is going to connect again.
Nero, so good these EMPs, but he didn't get Elk. The barrier comes on, it doesn't matter, Axiom knocks off 2. You might be feeling the beat, but you're not feeling the effects of anti-gravity, I'll tell you that much. Toronto getting in there, and that grab from Zachary doesn't really amount to much. You see Toronto still getting the better of the fight.
Now Fusion. They almost had this point here. They could have honestly held on to that Graviton Surge because they know that teams will fight here, will contest onto the payload. But now they don't have that kind of option to really rely upon Toronto being grouped up in these really tight corridors. Beast Halo does have another Earth Shatter though, so he's gonna have to wait for Axiom to drop that barrier.
Well, he gets stunned early, gets knocked back, drops the Shatter anyways, but it's not great. It wasn't where he intended it because of all that disruption. By the way, payload needs to be looked at here from Toronto, even as they counter dive. They almost got ninja'd on the back, but so far Fusion's all sorts of scattered. It wasn't a good side engage, and now they have to go back to the drawing board once more. 52 seconds left remaining. Fusion only with one last attempt here to prevent it from being a 2-0 in favor of Toronto.
Now we have the Mercies coming out from both sides, along with Alarm swapping back over to the Zenyatta here. But it's Toronto. Because they made the swap-offs earlier, they're going to have the ultimate advantage. Another Transcendence for Shu. Nero now going back over to the Sombra here, who he has been an absolute threat for Toronto with that. The EMPs have been coming in fast, and they have been huge for them. 20 seconds left for Fusion University just to try and keep this map alive.
Well, Fusion right now has remembered that Zachary is, in fact, a pretty good Widowmaker player, so he's going to sit here in the back, get pocketed. Axiom, though, has a Primal Rage, tools to disrupt. It's going to force Zachary out of things here for a bit, but it's already at 55% off the swap. He's dealing plenty of damage, but now this Isolated Mercy, Axiom's going in, looking for a little bit more. Meanwhile, the front line working out for Toronto. They're crushing Fusion right now. The Mercy's so far out of the fight. The support's discombobulated, and with the self-destruct making space, Toronto Esports is going to go up 2-0 over Fusion University.
Well, this is unexpected. This has been a shakeup. I'm loving this.
This is unexpected to say the least, and I mean, part of it is that I just didn't expect Fusion to come in here and differ so radically from what they've been good at in the past. And also, let's be real, this is going into one of Toronto's strengths, is that Nero is an amazing Sombra player, and there is no sort of counterpart on the Fusion side. No one can play Sombra on the Fusion to the way that Nero can, and it's really having an impact.
It's a lot of things, right? He is a great Sombra, but also because Sombra has been out, not being seen at the competitive level for quite some time, teams don't know how to play against it properly. Now, before there were indicators that, you know, the Sombra was near you, but we got to see that with the new changes, that now that she doesn't contest a point when she's invisible, it's harder to tell where she is. So when she was by Elk over there, when he was trying to escort the payload by himself, they had no clue, even though he was right on top of him that entire time. So it's becoming that much harder to actually play around her.
And as you were saying, ZP, at the beginning of Fusion's attack, why would they pick the same comp that you know hasn't been working? It's baffling that they're not learning from their mistakes and playing what they're used to.
I mean, I have no idea. Maybe this is how they did, in fact, practice over the break, but if this is what they spent their practice time on, they chose poorly. They outthought themselves. I think clearly to a degree they've underestimated Toronto what's going on here, because Toronto has come out and looked better than they have all season long, and Fusion just, plainly put, they're not comfortable comfortable with this meta, and I think they tried to get a little bit too tricky for their own good.
Yeah, pulling out Maze with also the Anas and also the Sombras going on, it seemed that they, like you said, they outthought themselves, and it was very interesting. But we did see on the other side, Axiom playing some amazing Reinhardt here and doing some work.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely good points in Toronto, aside from just the fact that, you know, you had Nero and Dalton looking better than they have before. I think their tank play was remarkably solid, and, you know, we sort of called them out as the player of the watch beforehand, but there's nothing but good things to say about Shu here, where Shu, regardless of what he's been playing, has rarely gotten picked off. I'm not even sure if he's gotten picked off once all series. He's just been very consistent, always safe, always getting random pickoffs in the middle of fights as they break down. Toronto is playing better than we've seen them all season long, and Fusion playing worse than we've seen them all season long.
Yeah, across the board, Toronto look remarkably improved, and it is because, yeah, they are more on their comfort picks at this point. We got to see, of course, Dalton on the Tracer early on today, and then Nero on the Sombra has been absolutely destroying. Now, I did mention earlier, I was a little bit worried about that swap-off coming in earlier on the season. Crackalakin coming in for Guardian, but now it looks like they have actually found their form together and are working remarkably well together.
And if there's any time in the season to really play your best, it's during the playoffs. It's very heartwarming to see Toronto really step it up when it counts.
Look, as my dad, who is an ardent Patriots fan and ardent Boston sports supporter, can say, is that it doesn't matter if you have a perfect regular season. If you lose it in the playoffs, it's pretty bittersweet. It doesn't feel very good. Fusion, you don't want to walk that path.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Fusion, but we will find out what will happen with Fusion. Toronto is up 2-0. This really matters. This game matters. And we will find out what happens right after a break.